In the story of East of Eden, the characters all make the decision, whether consciously or not, to live for themselves or for others. They all choose whether or not they will live adhering to the whims of those around them, or if they totally disregard them in favor of their own desires. The core concept of the choice to live for yourself or to live for others can be seen in the first part of East of Eden in Adam Trask's childhood. In his early years, he lives for his father, living on his father's regime over his childhood. Something in Adam changed after his first enlistment, however. He had lived far away from his family for over 5 years, so their influence on him had waned. He wanted to preserve this freedom, so he re-enlisted. He even had a brief moment of rebellion, refusing his father's offer to give him to West Point, and instead asking to be sent back to his regiment and rot in the barracks. However, he is shown to have regretted this, as he remembered his father's tone and that Cyrus was lonely and alone. This shows that Adam's thoughts still cannot escape circling back to his father and his wishes. In part 2, Adam began to live for Kathy, his new wife, or at least who he thought she was. Steinbeck writes that Kathy was Adam's light in an otherwise gray world, that she set off the glory in Adam. Every single one of his future plans included Kathy, trying to create the best life for her and their children. Despite Adam's good intentions, Kathy was unhappy with her life. She never truly had intended to live with this man. She wanted to use him as a stepping stone for her own devices. Kathy only ever lived for herself. She told Adam that she wanted to move far away, and she did just that. After birthing her 2 children, she shot Adam and ran away, leaving the twins and her husband behind to pursue a life of her own, free from having to have people around her get in the way of such a free life. The core concept of the decision to live for oneself or for others makes its appearance in a few ways in Part 3, such as Lee's exploration of the conflict in the translation of the 4th chapter of Genesis. Lee finds that the King James translation says, "Thou shalt," promising the reader that they shall overcome sin. The American version says, "Do thou," ordering the reader to overcome sin. The original Hebrew writing, however, says "Timshel," or "Thou mayest triumph over sin," giving one the choice to overcome sin and to decide how one will live their life. Another way in which this is exemplified is in the conversation between Kate and Adam after Samuel Hamilton's funeral. Adam goes in still with the weight of his former wife in his life, living for her memory. During and after the conversation, the man began to feel young and free and filled with a hungry gaiety, which was better than he had felt for many years. He could begin to live for himself and what he wanted after this. He could open his heart to those around him, to Cal and to Aaron, to try and become the father that he wanted. He could work for his own plans, such as getting tenants for his ranch, and moved into the city of Salinas. In Part 4, Cal makes multiple decisions to live for himself or for those around him. For instance, when he learns the truth about his mother's death, he decides to keep it from his brother Aaron in order to not hurt him. Perhaps he feels that he needs to make up for the bad things he thinks he does. He appointed himself the guardian of his father's content, where he tailed Kate to learn about her so that she couldn't hurt Adam or Aaron. Cal decides that he wants to make up the money his father lost during his experiment with the frozen train car and cabbages, working with Will Hamilton as a partner to make the money to give to his father as a gift. Even Cal recognizes this as buying his love. However, in a moment of jealousy of his father's love for Aaron over Cal, he tells Aaron the truth about his mother, taking him to meet her. This shows that Cal is constantly at war with himself, with whether to live for his family or to be selfish like Kate was. At the end of the novel, Adam frees Cal of this burden of living for his family and his guilt of their deaths with his last words, "Timshel." This is a blessing for Cal to live his life for himself, so that he may reach for happiness, that he may live on to become his own person with his own goals, that he has a chance to escape the same depression that his father fell under due to the loss of Kathy.